I have 70 years and beyond worth of stories to tell. I was born in 1950 in Greensboro, North Carolina. Today, the world is changing so fast. Everything is moving so quickly. I want to hang on to my stories. I want to share my stories of yesterday. I want to talk about my life today. And I want to share history the way I remember it. Welcome to 70 Years and Beyond. Welcome to 70 Years and Beyond. My name is Wambui Bahati. I loved it when my mother would say, "The new Sears catalog came today," because that meant the old Sears catalog was mine. Before there was Amazon, before there was online shopping, before there was any such thing as touching a screen and having something delivered to you within a few days or even a few hours, before all of that, when I was growing up in Greensboro, North Carolina, in the 1950s and 1960s, we had such a thing called Sears Roebuck and Company. Now, Sears Roebuck was this company that started out as a small mail order house back in the late 1800s by a man named Sears, and later he was joined by a man named Roebuck, thus Sears Roebuck and Company. Now, by the time I came along in the 50s and 60s, this company was huge. It was an amazing company that sold everything. Now, we had a store in Greensboro, in the downtown area. I believe it was on Eugene Street near the courthouse buildings over there. And it was amazing. I loved going to that store with my mother because they had so many things for women and children there. I loved going there with my father because they had so many things for men and children there. They sold everything. Bicycles, all kinds of toys, things for babies, things for children, things for women, things for men, things for your house, washing machines, stoves. They sold in the 1940s. Now, I was born in 1950, but in the 1940s, Sears used to sell house kits. No, I'm not talking about for doll houses. I'm talking about people houses. They would sell you a kit that you could go away with that kit, or they would deliver it to you and you could build your house with that kit. They sold over 70,000 of those house kits. Now, the people who study those kinds of things, they're estimating that there's still thousands of those houses built from the Sears house kits still standing in this country today. So it was all about, you know what was great about Sears too is that it was downtown, but it wasn't on the beaten path. And that's what made it kind of special. Like we had a downtown street. Elm Street was our main street, and that's where the Woolworths and all the stores were that we shopped at, the record shop and all of that. But Sears and Roebuck was downtown, but it was off the beaten path. And that just made it more special when you had to leave the beaten path to go to this tremendous store that sold everything. If you can imagine, if you go to the Amazon website, for instance, and you're just strolling, they got this, they got that, they got this. It seems like there's nothing that Amazon doesn't sell. Well, that's what it felt like to me for the Sears and Roebuck Company. There was just nothing that they didn't sell, but it was in person. You got to go into the store. You got to see the sewing machines. You got to walk through all of the dishes. It was just a wonderful store. Now, if they happen not to have a particular size or particular color or style that you were looking for, they would order it from another store or from a warehouse somewhere and have it delivered to the store so that you could pick it up. It was tremendous, but that is not even the best part yet. The best part was that they had catalogs, and I don't mean a flyer, I don't mean a little sheet, a sales sheet. I mean they had catalogs that were at least 2 inches thick or more. The catalogs came out twice a year. There was a fall and winter catalog, and there was a summer and spring version of the catalog. Now, but that wasn't even the best part. That wasn't even the best part. The best part was when a new catalog would come out and I would hear my mother. This was music to my ears. When my mother would say, "We got the new Sears catalog today." But it wasn't, to me, it wasn't even about the new catalog. It meant the old catalog was mine. I would get that catalog and I'd get a pair of scissors and I'd find a space in my house that I was going to be in for hours. I'd get that catalog, I'd get those scissors, and I'd start cutting out people. I'd cut out women, children, men. I'd make large families from cutting out these paper people. And then I would go cut out the beds, and I'd cut out the washing machines, and I'd cut out the stoves and the tables. And I had this whole paper world going. I would take one of my paper women and walk my paper woman over to the paper washing machine. Or I'd walk one of the paper people over to the paper stove. And then I'd collect all my paper people who were members of one family, and I'd walk all my paper people over to the table for dinner. It was amazing. It was an amazing world, and it is a special memory that I will never forget. The Sears and Roebuck paper people, paper world. It was amazing. Now, they also had a Christmas edition, a Christmas catalog that came out. It wasn't 2 inches thick like the others, but it was a considerable book. It eventually became called the Wish Book, the Christmas Wish Book, because we would get that book and it had all the Christmas toys and all Christmas gifts and everything that just looked so beautiful. You just wanted everything, and you just looked at all the pretty things in the catalog and you just wished. But what my mother did, once we got old enough, when I say we, I mean my older sister and my 2 younger brothers, when we got old enough to not go for the Santa Claus story, what she did is she would give us that catalog and tell us, go through the catalog. Each of you find 3 things that you want for Christmas, and she'd give us a financial cap for how much we could spend for our 3 things. And so we'd each choose 3 things that we wanted for Christmas, and we knew that's what we were going to get. My mother would wrap it up like it was a surprise, but we knew that's what we were going to get. My mother thought that was best because she felt like if she's spending her hard-earned money, she wanted to make sure she was getting something that we actually wanted. And so she let us choose our own Christmas gifts, and she wrapped them up and gave them to us as gifts. Anyway, those are my great memories of Sears and Roebuck and the hours I spent with the paper people in my paper world. I don't know if you remember Sears Roebuck. If you do, what do you remember about Sears? Did you ever buy anything from Sears Roebuck? What was your favorite thing to buy there? I'm going to end right here. Let me know if you remember Sears and Roebuck. I have such great memories of that catalog and those paper people.
70 years and beyond. Wambui Bahati.